Well, it's January in the UP, and actually our snow is down pretty low. There's not really a whole lot here, but it's cold outside, so let's go in the shop and start a project. Today we're going to be working on the little brown Jeep. Now you've seen we ran it around quite a bit this summer, had a lot of fun with it, but the clutch is kind of suspect, and the transmission kind of tends to pop out of gear in second a little bit, which is semi-common on wore out transmissions. So I think I'm going to go ahead, drop the entire transmission transfer case, change the clutch, rebuild the transmission transfer case, and get this thing, start getting it ready for spring, because we are planning on hitting some trails early in May. So that's only a few months away, so better get working. So I went in my parts, found a good input shaft. It's in good condition. And remember I mentioned this being a little wore out. Yeah, so definitely our pilot bushing has got to be changed. Put that up in. Oh no, come on now, you. Yay. Old pilot bushing's out. We'll clean that up, put the new one in. Okay, the other thing that could be an issue is our spring. The end of it was broke off, so it wasn't actually holding our throwout bearing back, which could have been making it feel a little funky. The throwout bearing has got some slop in it. The shaft has got some slop in it. Some of our gears are a little questionable, but we'll get everything drained out, cleaned up. And anything that I find in there, I'll try to show you guys. So I wanted to show you guys what I found when I disassembled the case. So this bearing, I noticed that it had quite a lot of drag on it. The reason is that shim, that little spacer that's in there, is actually put in the wrong way, so it's putting pressure on the bearing. And what that did was when you install the bearing, now the bearing spins in the case. So this case, if we measured it, and you can look at some other website or some other YouTubers, they tell you exactly what that measurement's supposed to be. So in theory, this case is probably ruined, but I wanted to see if I could save it. So what I'm gonna do is get rid of that bearing. I'm gonna put a new bearing in. Now that bearing will also slide. Hopefully with just the bearing in the shaft, it won't. But what I'm going to do to stop it from spinning is using some retaining compound. This is large gap Loctite. And that, if I'm careful and just put it, don't get it in the bearing, but get it just on the race, it should stop that bearing race from spinning in this case. And we'll see if we can save this case, at least for one more rebuild. Probably the next time it needs it, it will be junk, but we'll see. So that's what we're going to try. All right. This is what all the parts look like in the T90 transmission and T18 transfer case. So anybody have any guesses on how many parts total? I'm going to try to keep count, and I'll let you know at the end of the video. So throw your guesses in the comments if you think you know what it is. I thought I'd show you my mistake. Maybe you saw it as I was doing it, but I actually put the bearing on the wrong way. That is supposed to be the other way. So let me pop this back apart, do it again. seen on a couple of forums now, people are talking about these are too wide to fit into these. And that is the case here. So you could take a file and just lightly file them down. What I found is it seems to me that this radius is just a little bit too much. So if I just set them down, I can tap them and that takes care of it. There we go. Now they fit. Okay, when I pulled the transfer case apart, I want to show you some stuff I found. Obviously, you're looking for, you know, broken off teeth. So that one's gone. But then when I pulled the shaft, this is an 1.1/8" shaft. Hopefully you can see the damage on there and the wear. And this is what the needle cage bearing looked like when it came out. Of course, you know that's what they're supposed to look like when they come out, is 2 assemblies. But if you look at these closely, I'd have to say that this one, hopefully I got it where you can see it. I would say that it was sitting in water for a while, rusted, and then once it started being used again, it just ground them to bits. There's a whole bunch of them that are like that. They got heavy pitting on them. They got holes. They got basically some of the hardening is just gone. So that's another thing that all this will go into the scrap. Okay, so one thing I am gonna do, I am gonna eliminate this. I've always wanted to try it on one of my Jeeps just to see. So what this does, it's the interlock between being able to shift high-low range, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. So now I'll be able to shift into 2-wheel drive with just using low range or high range. So when I'm just on a 2-track, I'll be able to do it in 2-wheel drive, low range. Okay, sorry guys, my camera ran out, so I'm using my tablet. So the next parts we're going to be taking are kind of the rest of the gears and shafts for the transfer case. We'll be setting the end play using the shims. So here we go. Okay, so we started to put everything together to check our end play. We got our dial indicator hooked up, and if you look, so we are right about 10 right now. We need to be 2 to 6 thousandths. So we are gonna take this back off, remove one of these big shims and put a thinner shim in and try it again. All right, so we're gonna yank out one of these shims and we're gonna replace it. We've already measured some of our shims. So we're gonna take one of those off and then we're gonna put that one in its place and that should reduce. And so we're gonna push the bearing in a little bit, which will tighten that up and decrease our end play. So we'll get this together. Okay, so we've got it set on 0. So you can see we are at about 4 thousandths right there. So we are in between the 2 to 6. that the Novak guide recommends as a quality rebuild. So we are ready to put this the rest of the way back together. Okay, you may have seen I had some help on this video this time around. This is Landon, my nephew, and so we got the transfer case, transmission, got everything buttoned back up, all put together. We're gonna go drive it around. As you can see, we're kind of wearing warm clothes. It's 18 degrees here, so we're not gonna be out there for too long, but we're gonna go give it a little run around and see what we can do, see how it works.
This is very hard to film. Made that no problem, but there is nothing on the other side, so it's a lot harder than it was. here.
All right, it's way too cold. We're freezing to death. We didn't wear gloves. The little Jeep's running good. The hill was a lot of fun. Maybe you can see it over there. We would have went over it, but on the other side is just a swamp, and I didn't want to put the Jeep into that. Hey guys, as you can see, my helper is gone, so I want to thank Landon for coming and helping. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. We got some other cool projects coming up, Jeep related, and so check back in on the channel. I know some of the Jeep stuff has been coming slow. I apologize for that. But again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.